Here we follow the story of Seamund as he asks Katarina, the love of his life, if she has heard the legend of Tilmund Castle, a legendary fortress that has not fallen to enemies even once. Wondering what he is suddenly talking about, he smiles wistfully, turning toward the castle. "Let's go there," he says, his tone light but filled with quiet determination. She shakes her head. "They're not supposed to be in a place like this," she reminds him. "She has duties to finish, and the world of nobles is far removed from theirs." He promises her it won't take too long, insisting the view from Tilmund Castle is to die for, especially at this hour, even if the scenery is breathtaking. She murmurs, "It's still the land of nobles, a place they will never truly belong to." He chuckles, undeterred, his voice steady. "Perhaps not now," he admits, "but soon things will change." He tells her of his upcoming promotion and how his thesis on a new kind of golem has gained recognition. His seniors praised his work, declaring that if the elder approved, his promotion would be inevitable. While it wouldn't grant them a grand estate, it would offer a home, a place where they could live comfortably together. Her surprise was evident as he turned to her and proposed. He told her that she had endured so much for his sake, and from now on, he vowed to make her the happiest person alive. She smirked playfully, reminding him that he should probably become an intermediate mage first. He called her mean, and she laughed softly, resting her head on his shoulder. They shared a brief moment of peace before the storm. Simon believed their happiness was finally within reach, a reward for his relentless effort. But reality struck cruelly when the elder claimed credit for his work on the golem. As Simon stood in silent fury, the elder, addressing a duke, accepted the praise with smug humility, attributing it all to the duke's unreserved investment. Simon's world crumbled as the weight of stolen recognition bore down on him, his vision narrowing as he thought, no matter how hard he worked, he'd never escape this cycle of rot. The duke's voice cut through his rage, asking about a request. The elder, feigning forgetfulness, casually mentioned the matter, questioning whether the duke was truly fine with her, given her lowly birth. The room grew colder as guards entered, dragging Katarina in by force. Her frightened face and disheveled appearance sent shockwaves through Simon. As the guards brought her before the duke, Simon's composure shattered. His thoughts raced, anger rising like a storm. The duke leered, commenting on her famed beauty, and the elder remarked that had she been of noble birth, her life would have been vastly different. Simon's rage boiled over as he watched everything he cherished be reduced to nothing. Tears blurred his vision as he summoned magic, charging toward the two men, vowing to protect Katarina at any cost. The elder's patience snapped. Lightning surged from his hands, striking Simon with devastating force. Simon crumpled to the ground. Katarina screamed, her cries tearing through the room as she was dragged away. Darkness consumed him. When the light returned, Simon was on his knees, trapped in a cold, desolate cell. The void in his eyes mirrored his broken spirit. Rats scurried around him, the only company left in his despair. Picking one up, his trembling hands conveyed the futility of his resistance. There was nothing left, nothing he could do.
In the depths of his cell, Simon has been marking the days, each one a reminder of his captivity. The guards, amused by his disheveled state, poke fun at him. One jests that it looks like he's trying to eat the mouse in his grasp. They laugh, calling him a worthless mage in his current condition, even suggesting that if he just helps them summon the golem, they'll release him. Simon remains silent, his thoughts consumed by something far more important. The guards laugh again, noting that he's gone completely mad since Katarina's death. They reveal that she had taken her own life to protect her purity from the Duke, who had bought her. They lament her death, calling it a shame, as she was too beautiful to perish. Simon, lost in his grief, bites his nail until blood spills, his eyes filled with regret. He apologizes to Katarina silently. As the guards walk away, they notice the mice in his cell stirring restlessly, their eyes fixated on something. One of the guards, sensing something wrong, stabs one of the mice. Instantly, a magic circle appears on its belly, signaling the start of something far more dangerous. Realizing the danger, the guards rush back to Simon, only to find him using his blood to draw a powerful magic circle on the floor. He whispers to himself, acknowledging his past weakness. This time, it will be different. He refuses to stop, even as they command him to. His magic circle is complete, and he places his hand upon it, drawing the life energy of the rats around him into himself. As the rats sacrifice themselves, the aura intensifies, building to an explosive crescendo. Simon breaks free from his cell, a towering golem rising behind him. His thesis, the one stolen by the elder, now brought to life. The guards are paralyzed with fear, staring at the golem that mirrors the expression Katerina once had. Simon's voice is calm, cold. This was always the reason for his survival. With a swipe of the golem's hand, the guards are crushed, their lives extinguished in an instant. The golem bursts through the walls, and Simon's eyes burn with a renewed purpose. His power, once constrained, has finally been unleashed. The world will now bow to his will. Simon, eyes blazing with fury, declares that all of this, the destruction, the chaos, is because he must exact revenge on a world that denied him and Katerina their happiness. Simon strides through the destruction with chilling resolve. He reassures Katerina's memory, promising her that he'll never be weak again. He vows to seize power at any cost and reshape everything. His eyes burn with a crazed determination, his expression unhinged. Suddenly, lightning crackles across the battlefield. The elder, mid-combat, turns to see Simon riding atop the golem he created in the prison. The elder, horrified, demands to know why Simon would dare use black magic, accusing him of siding with demons despite being a servant of God. Simon's gaze hardens, and he coldly replies that none of it matters anymore. The Duke, seeing Simon's power, flees in desperation, begging for mercy. He promises to make Simon the master of the land, if only his life is spared. Simon raises a hand and smites the Duke with a single decisive blow, scoffing at his delusions of power. Simon whispers to Katerina that the world that betrayed them will face his wrath, and every act of destruction will be for her sake.
Upon arriving at the island, he shouts to see if anyone is there, hoping for a response. Unfortunately, there is no reply. Determined to explore further, he makes his way upstairs and is met with a horrifying sight, the lifeless bodies of a whole family. The scene cuts back to the kids on the boat, anxiously hoping to encounter friendly people after being isolated for so long. Suddenly, Bota hears splashing in the water and spots a figure that appears to be in need of help. Meanwhile, their dad continues to search the area for any valuable items and stumbles upon a mysterious green box containing explosives. As he investigates further, he notices a massive hole in the wall, indicating an external attack. Suddenly, he hears a loud shout from Lita and immediately dives into action to find out what's wrong. The kids inform him that someone is in the water and needs their help. Looking out, he sees the mysterious figure, but his fear takes over as he realizes it's not a person. The figure disappears underwater, and a large shadow emerges from below. Sensing the imminent danger, he rushes to his kids and holds them tightly. A gigantic creature breaches the ocean, devouring the ship with its mouth. Trembling in fear, they desperately cling to a piece of debris, staring into the creature's humanoid eyes. The monster strikes the ship, causing them to fall into the water. After a few minutes, they find themselves back at the remote building they had discovered earlier. The father holds his kids close, checking to make sure they are okay. Bota appears exhausted, but still breathing, while Lita is unconscious from the stress. Worried for her well-being, they shake her awake, and she regains consciousness. Relieved that both kids are fine, the father's joy is short-lived as he notices his own injury, a steel rod piercing through him. Assuring Bota that he is okay, he emphasizes the need to escape as the monster is still lurking. He instructs Bota to take Lita and run for safety, promising to follow closely behind. Bota dutifully obeys his father's command and leads Lita to higher ground. Meanwhile, the father is left alone, struggling to remove the steel from his body. The pain causes him to let out a piercing scream. Suddenly, he notices something peculiar. A monstrous creature is slowly making its way towards him, its eyes meeting his own. However, there is something strange about the creature's skin. It burns upon contact with sunlight. As it draws nearer, the creature becomes fixated on the steel embedded in the father's body. In response, the father reaches for his sword. Surprisingly, the monster turns away, its gaze shifting towards Bota and Lita. It grins wickedly and chases after them, prompting the father to shout in panic, urging them